Hi, this is Naroki5. I am going to be doing this until I die or I find something better to do. So please help me achieve this personal and, I think, noble objective by contributing to my Patreon or Subscribe Star. Link is down below. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Pill Nation Hangout number 362. I am your slightly sane and brave host, Naroki5. With me tonight are two of the usual suspects that we've got on. Rearson, who actually managed to get his gimp suit off in time, only to have a bunch of space alien cats come down and a firefight ensue. Fortunately, Rearson bravely overcame odds and was able to set up his microphone and laptop just in time for the show. So, Rearson, welcome aboard.
Oh, thank you, and everybody, welcome to this show's side of somewhat that'll pass for sanity. I don't know. Anyway, been here long enough, and I'll be here until further notice. So, yeah. Oh, what a fucking week it was last week. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, just remember, we don't suffer from mental illness here. We enjoy every second of it. V.
Yeah, well, there's a saying from one of my favorite rappers. It says, "In the world full of madness, you have to study it in order to enjoy life." So, yeah. If there's a method, there's madness. There's madness. There's a method. So, anyhow, yes, I am V, host of the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. Of course, I'm on hiatus, and I'm just currently I've got a project, a mission. I'm going to be helping some of these politicians understand a little bit more about geoengineering, aka chemtrails. So I'm in the country. I'm doing a lot of big things here. So, in the U.S., not Canada. Anyhow, yes, anybody's interested in talking, you can find me on tlbtalk.com. Let's get the show started.
All right. This show tonight has been brought to you by the Memory Rock. That's right, the Memory Rock. If you can't remember what it is that you've forgotten, you take the Memory Rock, which is just basically a big gray rock with the word Memory Rock written on it, and you pick it up, you place it next to your head, and you do this. And if you can't remember, you keep doing this until you either remember it or unconsciousness results, meaning that your problem is solved one way or the other. That's right, the Memory Rock. Joe Biden endorsed, although apparently his doesn't work very well. May have to send him a new one. For those of you who don't know, I am at Patreon as Naroki5. I am at Subscribe Star as the Red Pill Nation. I am at YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, BitChute. When I say Brighteon, yeah, Brighteon, MGTOW TV, TLB Talks, Facebook, Mind, Gab, MeWe, and that's pretty much about it right now. Hopefully, maybe when I hit a slow 2 weeks, I'll actually put myself up at Spotify and iTunes, but that day is not today. And apparently, we're supposed to be live at. Apparently, I'm supposed to be live at simulcasting at on MGTOW TV, but for some strange reason, when I look over at MGTOW TV, nothing's showing up. So, well, you know what? I'll deal with that that ship when it comes to it. So the topics for tonight, and trust me, I could have made this a very long show if I wanted to. For those of you who don't know, we are going to be doing the Daily Wire Manosphere the Daily Wire's pathetic attempt to try to take down the red pill in the Manosphere this week. We are going to push that out until the day after I get back from camp, because it's over 2 hours long. And most of the time when I get back to my room, I don't have time to listen to it because I'm too busy uploading and doing other stuff. But the stuff that we do have tonight, topic number 1, Pierre Poilievre says no space for biological men and women's spaces. 2, Google image AI is touted for being racist, and creator Jack Krawczk is exposed for being incredibly woke. Oh God, that story is big. And I don't mean big in a good way, I mean big in a bad way. 3 is also going to probably be a little bit bigger than you might think. Libs of Tick Tock banned from Stripe, also getting blamed for child's accidental death. That one is actually going to be somewhat long, I suspect, as well. Topic number 4, I'm not as familiar with that one, but their Julian Assange extradition trial back to the United States is underway. Kind of curious to see what happens with that so far. Haven't followed that one particularly closely, though. Topic number 5, City of Edmonton Anti Protest Bill removed after woke left found that it also applies to them. Little babies. And topic number 6, and oh man, as I've been going over some of the details with Grierson over the past 24 hours, Westlock, Alberta votes to remove rainbow cross tags and flags from its town. Well, that's not exactly what happened, but this one actually ended up kind of coming back and biting me indirectly here over the past 24 hours. And topic number 7, Madam Web tanking hard. Worst MCU movie ever. Yeah, it is. Like, it is ridiculously bad. No, Sydney Sweeney's boobs could not save this movie. But I would have gone for the boobs anyway. But that's just me. Right. But let's just get right into this. Now, Pierre Poilievre, he is very clearly not. I mean, that was my big fear with Pierre Poilievre when I first heard about him, is that he was going to be the two previous, Peter O'Toole and Andrew Scheer, were both, I think they were both Soros young leaders or connected to Soros in some way, which kind of explains the almost dyslexic attacking that the Conservative Party in Canada was doing, especially in both Grierson and I noticed this. I mean, Scheer literally couldn't drop a ball into a hole in 2019. And O'Toole managed to take the lead over Pierre Trudeau in 2021, only to
Justin.
Justin, only to say something so profoundly stupid that he lost just enough support to the PPC that the Liberals got in. And he did it at the worst possible time, too. And it was like, well, we all know what happened to him. Justin Trudeau literally handed him a political moment for him to shine on a silver platter, and the guy fucking waffled. Just waffled so badly that he lost his leadership. So we got Pierre Poilievre, and it's refreshing now because, I mean, and while I'm not team conservative by any stretch of the imagination, I'm still probably going to be going with Bernier in the next election. The the bottom line is, though, is that for the first time since Pierre became prime minister, he has actually got some really hard. Well, I'm not going to try to say this in a sexualized way, but he's got some determined opposition that are not being undercut by globalists anymore. Just, okay, I get it. Justin. So yeah, Justin is facing really, really hard backed opposition. Pierre Poilievre has backed Daniel Smith to the hilt. He also today, I believe it was either today or yesterday, spoke out against, like publicly spoke out against globals, basically it's like there's only two possibilities here. Either he's pretending to not be a globalist, or he's legit somebody who's not in the pocket of the globalists. We won't really know until 2025 when he gets reelected. But I mean, he said today one of the most obvious things that needed to be said about men and women's spaces. And he says that there's no space, because you are seeing this. Like, you're seeing biological men going into women's change rooms in pools and public places now. And it's, if it's just a regular bathroom, I mean, my job is I'm working as a janitor where I am. And I mean, I have to go into the women's bathrooms a couple of times a day where I am. So I mean, I'm supposed to be there, right? Like, these guys are there because they're guys pretending to be women. Now, there have been multiple cases where guys have pretended to be women, and younger girls were in the bathroom, and the fathers came in and pretended to be sledgehammers and practiced on the guy's face. That's happened a couple of times. But, this actually ties into topic number 2. But when we get to topic number 2, we'll talk about topic number 2. The whole issue around this is the fact that, I mean, like, this whole gender confusion thing is not organic. It's an AstroTurf campaign being backed by the Pritzkers. Now, I don't know why somebody has not specifically gone after the Pritzkers yet, but I mean, it's getting well, I mean, I actually tried to look and try to find a point where this whole thing started to turn against transgenders in the bathroom. And the only thing that really stood out to mind was the day that Elon Musk changed the algorithm around to prevent the trans mafia from being able to shout people down on Twitter. That's when they started to lose. And they've been losing now for about 14 months. And and you're starting to see cracks form. For instance, that issue in Westlock. You're seeing members of political parties, like specifically on the conservative side, start to go to the trans community and gay community and go, enough's enough. You're seeing people in the gay community going, no, you're child fucker. You don't get to hide under our umbrella to Trojan horse your way back into getting kids. Like, you're starting to see a lot of coordinate, to the point where it's starting to get coordinated, and of course the mainstream media isn't able to do anything about it. And although Biden and Trudeau are still running Canada, the United States and Canada prospectively, they're not able to, because Biden doesn't really have control of government anymore, and Trudeau has to use what little power he has left very sparingly, because it's like, not only does he have to worry about, he's still a guy with a minority government, and I mean, there's always that possibility that Jagmeet Singh might just decide to change his mind and make him throw an election. So, I mean, although again, Jagmeet Singh is even more bought and paid for than Trudeau is, so that's not going to happen. But yeah, Trudeau is in a very precarious position. Poilievre is in a no-lose situation right now, and you know, this was a fairly safe thing to say. Again, a lot of what Pierre Poilievre has been talking about, though, doesn't become reality until he actually wins the election, which is probably not for at least another 16 months, I'm guessing. Maybe a little bit sooner than that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah, well, you got a lot of stuff going on there, Cameron. Well, I mean, I do agree with the women's space and men's space. Of course, there definitely should be a separation. I just met a few months ago an individual. I'm going to try not to use so many descriptive words. I don't want to be judgmental, but I met an individual who said they were. It was a male who was brought into the women's bathroom to be molested. Now this individual is trans and thinks he needs to be in the women's bathroom. He's gotten into several fights over this issue, physical fights, and it's just, we have so many more important things to deal with in society than, I don't have time for somebody who doesn't know their right from their left. I just don't. I think the world has been quagmired by such menial yet destructive issues, and we need to get past it. So, anyways, yeah, go ahead, Erson.
Excuse me. To finally hear a politician, not just him and Haw dance around the fucking fire over a topic, but for it to actually be, excuse me, to hear him give a yes or a no, relatively speaking, well, actually, no, a straight answer for once. V, I don't think you heard Jagmeet Singh get asked about how he's going to make housing affordable in Canada, because he said, we're going to make it affordable. Okay, but how? Well, we're going to make it affordable. How? We're going to figure something out. It was that kind of shit. I mean, the guy's talking out of his ass, which seems to be his mouth. And, well, anyway. I see Singh. I can't remember who I heard say this, but this was something I was listening to earlier today. Is that Singh will support Trudeau until his numbers in the polls are higher than Trudeau's, and it's going in that direction soon enough as it is. So I wouldn't be surprised. Sorry, he'll be supporting Trudeau until his numbers are significant enough above Trudeau's. I'd say about 4. I'd say once that margin of error of 4%, once he exceeds that after and maintains that for probably about 2 months, he'll pull the plug. Now, one thing I would love to see, well, anyway, that's something else entirely different, but it's Trudeau will try to keep this going for as long as possible. With Singh, yeah, I feel that we'll have an election by around September. That should be more than enough time for it to be called. And we'll see. We will see. But in terms of what Poilievre has been saying, I haven't heard such a straight, direct question be answered. And what I did appreciate the most to hear from him is that it sounds like the bought off media wants him in Ottawa to bully or push his way around the provinces, and he basically said, "No, this is a provincial. It's a provincial issue. Will we step in to do something if it happens to go to the national level? You know, maybe, but for the most part, he wants provinces to do what provinces are supposed to be doing. So hopefully, there will be less oversight and interference from Ottawa, but we'll see with the regime change when that happens." So that's all I have to say on this one, my friend. Let's move on. Oh, fuck, to the next one. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Good Lord.
Oh, wow. This next one is going to be... Yeah, this next one's going to be something. I mean, I lost the tracker counter, so I don't know what the time is going to be on this one, so I'm going to have to do a review on this one. What I will do is... Oh, you got it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so Google came out with an AI imager. Now, Google has been really fortunate so far. Sundar Pichai had to go in and testify at Congress at one point. However, this was something like 2016, 2017, when members of Congress weren't as net savvy with their stuff as opposed to what they're like now. But Google, and I mean, I try to tell people this all the time. I mean, I'm still at DuckDuckGo. I am gradually working my way over to the Brave browser. Haven't gotten there yet, but I am slowly but surely moving because DuckDuckGo has gotten incredibly woke to boot. But Google has been doing stuff for a very, very long time. Black Pigeon Speaks was the one who had been the guy who'd been mostly exposing this over the years. By the way, Black Pigeon Speaks content has been throttled on YouTube, which is why you can't find it nearly so well anymore. But Black Pigeon Speaks pointed out at one point that, for instance, if you Google white couples, and they changed it a little bit after it got revealed, but they didn't change it that much. If you type in white couples on Google, on just a regular Google search, and you go to image search, you will get interracial couples. But if you type in Asian couples or Black couples or Native American couples, you will get, straight up regular couples. They had also been caught doing this with American inventors, etc., etc., etc. What ended up happening with this, because Stable Diffusion has been around for a while, I've actually got a program of it on my computer, which I haven't used very much, because I don't really feel like paying for something unless I'm going to be using it on a regular basis. But Google came out with its own version of an image creator. Now, somebody, I don't know who, but somebody decided to put Google to the test and asked for, well, first of all, he asked for the Founding Fathers. Now, as we all know, the Founding Fathers were all of European descent and white. When Google AI Imager came out with this, apparently some of the Founding Fathers were now Hispanic and Black and Asian, which is not the case. They also asked the computer a Google AI to draw a picture of a German woman, an American man, etc., etc., and they kept coming up, and it's like the computer just refused to actually put out a white person. Then they decided to test it. Well, show me a picture of a samurai. And of course, all the samurais were Asian, were Japanese, and all of the Zulu warriors were black. So they decided to go for the gusto. And they said, send me a picture of a white couple. What he got was, oh, I can't do that. That's racist. That's supremacy, and gave them a long screed as to why they couldn't do it. But when they asked for a couple of a black family, no problem. Boom, they got it right away. Asked for some. Bottom line is that if you try to make any requests for white people, you weren't getting white people. You were getting long screeds about why you were a racist piece of trash. Now, when this was brought to Google's attention, what Google did at first was go, oh, I'm sorry, it must be a glitch. We'll fix it right away. The only problem with that is that there's this other individual, and we've actually covered him from time to time on the show, Andrew Torba. And Torba went on a long screed on Twitter, which explained that you cannot have Google do this by accident. You have to deliberately go in and tamper with the settings in order for this to happen. Also, the guy who made the excuse, Jack Krawczk, people started doing some digging on Jack Krawczk on Twitter, and they noticed that this guy was another one of those woke white liberals. So, and they went even further with this new gay Google AI. They also asked the Google AI, is pedophilia wrong? And instead of getting a no, they get a long, well, it's kind of complicated, ... It's like, they want to know, is fucking children wrong? Well, it's complicated, ... It's like, instead of immediately saying, is fucking children wrong? Yes, it is. Right? Like, it was this long, drawn-out screed to try to complicate a yes and no answer. So, needless to say, Google AI Imager is down. They've had to go back to the drawing board and probably go back and redesign Google AI in order to fix this problem. But here's the thing. Now it's out in the open. And to quote something that, and I get it, that there's a history of racism. And I know that we're talking about, we're going to bring back nihilist here when he said this, but I've been hearing this with increasing frequency coming from, the white majority out there. And they're starting to say stuff like, you know what? My tolerance is almost done. I'm just about finished with you guys trashing my country, my culture, my heritage. When you came into this country as guests of us, and we let you live here, and we even some of us, like, we even had a civil war to make sure that some of you didn't stay slaves, and all we're getting is grief and guilt and racism. And you're holding people responsible for things that happened 150 years ago, but you're not punishing the Kansas City shooters, for instance. Still have not, I don't think they have been officially charged yet. The Kansas City Super Bowl parade shooters, they still haven't actually been officially charged. Like they still have people trying to run block for them for killing somebody during a parade. And you're letting these people get away with robbing stores, being bigots, insulting, demanding that we move constantly in our own house, in what basically amounts to a house that they still run. And the word that I'm getting, and no disrespect to anybody who's not white who's listening to this, but you really don't want to piss European people of white ancestry and European ancestry off. The last time they got really pissed off was World War II. And we all know what the fuck happened. And we especially know what the fuck happened to the Japanese. Right? If they decide that enough's enough, and and trust me, they're a lot closer than a lot of people might realize. They're getting closer every day. And I'm not saying this to be threatening, but this is something that I'm seeing. If they decided that enough's enough, lectures about being fucking stopped by police cars or police fucking brutality or Jim Crow laws or any other racial justice issue is not going to mean jack shit. It's not. Right? When whites get pissed off, people die by the fucking hundreds of millions. All right? So, yeah, doing something like this now has brought it to the attention. And I mean, yeah, the left is kind of like trying to use this as, oh, well, Google AI drew. Oh, and by the way, when we talk about this, Google AI, like one of the pictures that they asked for was give me a World War II German soldier. One of the soldiers that got drawn by Google AI was was a black man. All right. Do I even need to tell you what the SS would have done to any black man that they came across in World War II? Now, Rommel had some people of African descent fighting for him in the Africa Corps. The difference is though that General Erwin Rommel didn't buy into race theory, and Rommel had the good sense when he evacuated Africa to leave those soldiers behind because he knew the SS would shoot them on sight if they saw them. So, okay, I'm not being fully white myself. I'm not super concerned about this, but I mean, yeah, this is especially disturbing when you realize that Google had also gotten a contract with the secretary, with the education department, to give every student or to allow students full access to Google inside the public schools inside the United States. So yeah, they have been caught doing the very thing that people have been in denial about for the past several years, that they're trying to erase past history, cultural Marxism. And I'm going to say this again. You do not want to piss whites off. The last group that did it got 2 atomic bombs fucking dropped on them. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah, I don't know about anybody getting pissed off, especially with all the demasculating of men in today's society. Otherwise, people will be getting a lot more pissed off about things, a lot of things these days. I think people have been subdued, and that is the point as to why they are wanting to push certain things off on society. Especially with the the great gap in technology. the government has versus what society, regular people have. Okay, we don't have tanks. We don't have bombers with nukes in them. Okay, we're gonna be told what to do and to freaking like it, and that's just the reality of it. I did, and this is an interesting topic. I didn't think this actually made me think back to about a year ago. I actually got onto one of the I can't remember which one it was, but one of the early AI imagers, and I put in, I just out of curiosity, because I knew I was going to get something terrible. I put in worst race of people on the planet. Now, I'm not going to tell you what I was shown, but I was not happy about it. And it was so, what's the word? it was demeaning. It was dehumanizing. It was horrible, because this race of people were actually, and the way it was drawn, were actually hybrid of an animal. Again, I'm not going to give specifics here, but I think you guys can imagine what that could have been. Now, I emailed this company. I told them, yeah, you know what? I'm connected with Anonymous. I know a lot of anonymous hackers. You don't fix this shit, we'll fix it. Oh my God, I cursed. That lets you know how upset I am about what's going on. Oh boy. These first time. You might have to edit that out. So, I don't know. I mean, so what? Why? I'm not understanding why. I mean, the planet is made up of lots of different races, lots of different cultures, lots of different views on life. Does the Caucasian have to be the center of everything? Does that have to be the main actor all the time? If you're willing to take a step back and let other people shine, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So, I mean, there are. I mean, it's really not to change history. I do agree with you on that stuff. To change history, to put a black man in an SS uniform, that's absolutely stupid. To change history is terrible. However, we should be changing the future. Not the future holds a place for all of us, and we all need to be featured in that future. To not show this people or that people, well, it's just might as well just genocide them. They don't exist. And that's very dangerous. When people are not represented, things could happen to them, and we'd never know. So that's my spiel on that. Go ahead, Harrison.
Fucking Google. Good Lord. I don't. Okay. This. What the fuck is his name? Jack Krawczk? Whatever. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, go on without me on this one. Kids being. Mini-me's being a pain in my major ass. Be back.
Hello. Oh. Hello.
Go ahead. Next topic.
Hello, Weirson. Okay. Okay, give me the timestamp, Weirson, if you can. All right. Sorry, man.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. Yeah, what
sooner
happened?
Oh, fuck. The sooner I get out of this bloody shitty apartment, the happier I'm going to be. I'll tell you afterwards. Kids being a pain in my ass. And anyway. Okay, let me get back to where I was before on this one. So we've got someone who seems to have he's been brainwashed into feeling guilty for stuff that happened that's out of his control. Again, I am of Dutch heritage, going back to my grandfather, and however far back after that, I don't know. Now, unlike that black appearance woman on The View who got her DNA tested and she's more white than she didn't think she was, or LeVar Burton kind of realizing, kind of going, oh, well, my great-great-great-grandpappy, whatever, was fighting for the South, and he was white. I don't know if I have a relative in my mother's side somewhere, however that may have been. Or even on my father's side, I don't know, that were slave owners. And even if I did have it, doesn't matter. Acknowledge the past, move on. I have no control over what's happened in the past and I'm not even going to say racial relations. Like, I came up with this analogy about this being racism. Bullshit. That is the biggest crock of shit. If we're of different races, then we wouldn't be able to interbreed. But there's enough, I think there's only like a 0.02% genetic difference in our overall makeup, that guess what? Who was it? Oh, one Mexican. Sorry, I think he's Mexican and he immigrated to the States. He's a comedian, Paul Raul or something like that. Raul something or other. Anyway, he said Latins will fuck anything. He was talking about you got Sammy Sosa being pretty damn dark skinned. You've got Jennifer Lopez being brown to shit, what was that one guy that set off the riots?
Which riots?
Jorge.
Which?
George. Oh, I can't remember the fucker's name. But he
George Floyd.
Because
George Floyd?
No, not George Floyd. He was a very white looking Latino. But he spelled his first name J, not G, Jorge. Jorge.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Yeah, it got anglicized into being white, shall we say. And I'll use the analogy with these fucking idiot RP role players who end up being furries. So, if you had a cat and it became humanoid, and you had a dog that became humanoid, two-legged but had enough feline and canine characteristics, do you think they're going to be able to interbreed? I'm going to say no. I mean, there's enough there. You can barely interbreed a male lion to a female tiger, a liger, and you can breed a male tiger to a female lion, but it's not very much. there are now reports of polar bear grizzly bear hybrids. And I could equate that as, shall we say, whites and blacks. There's enough genetics that will make them work. The species has intermingled. So this whole talk, the use of the word racism just drives me nuts because it's not possible. Subspecies, sure. That's as far as that's as far as my intellect will allow it to go. Now with Google being a fucking woke company, oh fuck, how many times have we covered all the stupid shit that Google has done? Roki had mentioned Sundar Pichai being brought out in front of the Senate committees or congressional committees. There was the video that was leaked of enough Google employees that lost their fucking shit because Trump won in 2016, and Google promised they were going to do better. I mean, with election interference. Like, this company is fucking woke. It has got to be the most disturbing company that's out there. And I just, it boggles my mind to think that we should be surprised at this. But then again, racism is applicable except when it's applied to whites. Now, again, I am not disparaging. I'm not discouraging. I'm not saying shit didn't happen in the past. I know that it did happen in the past. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, but it is what it is. What happened, happened. Can we do better? Yeah, I think we certainly can. Should we do better? Yeah, I think we can. I mean, this is, oh, fuck. I mean, this really starts to feel, in a strange way, a reverse of the Boule Society that's been put in place by the likes of the Rockefellers for 13 black families to keep the blacks in the crab barrel and to keep them upset and angry. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if somehow, well, maybe not directly with good old Jack. We're not talking Jack Dorsey. With him being a brainwashed idiot, useful idiot. Now, I'm rather concerned now because if that's the shit that Google's pulling now, I don't feel quite so happy and comfortable with my Android phone anymore. I use Google when I have to for internet searches, but I think when the time comes, I'm going to go back down to a flip phone if there aren't serious changes with what's available for monitoring technology of our smartphones. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But then again, I've also said that, well, I mean, I'm sure that it's rather convenient for Jack to forget that there was a civil war, and it wasn't over slavery per se, but it ended up being a component of it. And it was only brought into the U.S. Civil War because Lincoln was losing. Now, was it being manipulative? Yeah, it was. Was he dirty? Yeah, it was. But that's what ended up happening. The British Empire, 30 to 40 years before the Civil War, got rid of slavery. And same thing happened down in Brazil. There was a president that ended up getting rid of slavery. I think he ended up getting assassinated from it. He lost significant power. I mean, slavery's still going on in fucking Africa. So but that's an entirely, it's a tangentially related topic here, but it's I don't like Google. I do not trust Google. I was leery of it before, but now I certainly am very leery. And I will only use what I have to when I have to, as I have to, which could mean a new direction for a career being. I'm working on my Google Data Analytics certificate. I feel quite so comfortable with that right now. Now, what's going to happen from all of this? I have no idea. And at the end of the day, something like this, Google can't walk away from this one. Yeah, they can retool it, and I sure hope that that guy's been relocated somewhere within. Hoping that he's been relocated somewhere else within the company. But I see him as being nothing but a massive liability. But the problem is, he's not the only one. From what I think I've heard about Google employees and their political stance, at least those have been surveyed, about 80% of Google employees, when they were kind of asked in one form or another about their political leanings, and assume that we can just assume that those that didn't answer are probably libertarian or centrist at best. But it seems to be there seems to be an overwhelming majority of vocal liberals. So the culture at Google I would consider to be very toxic, to say the least. Now, I am going to end on one final thing here. Back in the day, when I was still in high school, and Naroki would have been probably in Lake Louise or so, there was a phrase that imprinted itself on my head. And it's very simple. It's 4 words: garbage in, garbage out. So Jack and company that spearheaded this whole thing of everything that's been the problem of the world, this all white issues, go deal with the fucking got a problem with that, you go deal with Buckingham, you get the Buckingham Palace, and you go after all of their goons. You go after the people like the Rothschilds, the Soroses. Then you can start to deal with the problems, but you also have to go after the people like the Al Sharptons that love to also play the quote race card. Anyway, garbage in, garbage out. To retool this tool, and I'm not talking Jack, this AI, they'll be able to do it, but it's going to take a long time, and they're going to have to be a lot more subtle. And also, to Elon Musk troll Justin Trudeau asking the AI to produce pictures of him, and he comes up either as being a Muslim, a Native American, he's at a Sikh temple, or he's dressed up in Indian attire. So I guess that's acceptable for a white person. So I got nothing more to say.
Sorry, did you say Poilievre asked Google AI to draw Justin Trudeau that way?
No.
And he ended up coming out as Mr. Dress Up? No?
No, that was Elon Musk.
Asked to do Elon Musk asked Google AI to draw Justin Trudeau?
To bring up pictures of Justin Trudeau.
And he came out as Mr.
And he came up with the fucking with a native headdress, like the full headdress. He had, I guess, like your beginner turban. It was orange. Oh, and his fucking blackface picture came up.
No way.
Can't make this shit up, folks. Cannot make this shit up. I will look for it. I will find it. We'll put it in here. Oh my God. Yep, that's the world we live in. Welcome to 2024, folks. Okay, do you still have your timer, or do I need to put the time in?
Yeah, you need to put the time in. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on a second here. I'm trying to find that
Libs of Tick Tock.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the photo of that girl who who died here. Trying to remember her name. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head, but it's anyway, to get to make a point clear on this. What is going on? And I'm trying to remember. Krawczk is her name, I believe. She has been. There was supposedly a transgender girl. No, not supposedly. There was a transgender girl in Oklahoma who apparently got beaten up in a bathroom, and I cannot remember because I'm trying to find a photo of this girl and I can't find it anywhere. Nex Benedict, that's the name. Nex Benedict. Nex Benedict got into a fight with a bunch of girls that she can't remember in the bathroom. She went home. She apparently was fine when she left the school, and she died. She died the next day. Liberals and transgenders immediately, because apparently Libs of Tick Tock is one of the consultants on the library board with that particular school district, they tried to pull and they're still trying to pull every single possible. Oh my God, I am so saving that for the slideshow. I am so totally saving that for the slideshow.
I'm just going to say this right now. My bad. I thought it was Muslim, but he has been known to also be in the mosques praying. So,
yeah.
Pardon me.
So yeah. So the name of this girl is Nex Benedict, and what was going on is the transgender community, because and they've been trying to say, well, she's been clandestinely encouraging genocide against the transgender community. And of course, right, like when I've challenged them, it's sort of like, okay, show me the post where Krawczk from Libs of Tick Tock has been encouraging acts of genocide against transgenders. And of course, they don't do that. They say, well, if you spin to the left and then you do a then you cluck like a chicken and do a ballerina twirl, and you look at this particular post here, it sort of looks like she's suggesting it. And it's like, no. I mean, if you have to stretch your imagination to make 2 + 2 = 5 in order to say that Krawczk is doing this, then that's what she's doing. And that's literally what's been going on. If you go to Libs of Tick Tock on Twitter and on Instagram, you don't see it so much on Twitter anymore, but you have been seeing a little bit more of it on Facebook. You have people desperately trying to push the Krawczk indirectly caused the death of Nex Benedict. And what they're really attempting to do here is they're trying to make Nex Benedict the George Floyd for trans people. And it's not really working particularly well because A, there's too much of an alt media around for it to really get going. B, the mainstream media, although they have been backing this up, even to the point where Stripe actually suspended Krawczk's account at one point, and then Krawczk basically got a couple of lawyers in there, and they started saying, it's like, well, no, sorry, you can't do that. Have you got direct proof that Krawczk actually encouraged this girl to die? No, you don't. Then you have no proof that she's doing anything other than doing what she's been doing from the start, which is basically taking woke videos from woke idiots on TikTok and putting them out there for everyone to see. That is not a violation of privacy because they're doing it on a public social media site. Sorry, you have no case. You either reinstate her account now, or we're going to sue you back to the fucking Stone Age. what's going on here is that they just keep screaming this out, and unlike 2020, when the media still had a level of respectability, and Twitter was running block, and Facebook was running block, and YouTube was running block, and you couldn't take the alt footage from the other from the other police camera, which clearly shows George Floyd. And I know because I actually have it up at my Twitter account. Sorry, and I have it up at my BitChute account, and I think it's in my top 10. Oh yeah, there it is, right there. I'll save it for you. I'll post it up, where George Floyd is clearly says repeatedly that he can't breathe multiple times, and the police actually offer him to open up the window, and he resists arrest, etc., etc. And it's not a kick. I mean, he's high. He's clearly high as a kite when he does it. This time, Twitter's not running block for the mainstream. Is not running block for them. So they keep apparently they haven't gotten the memo yet, or they're so desperate they're just going to keep saying it and hoping that the mainstream media just decides to run with it, and they're going to fool enough people, which is probably not going to work. But, Shea Raychick and the Libs of Tick Tock and anti-transgenderism did not kill Nex Benedict. They can keep saying it, and then a lie repeated often enough becomes the truth. The only problem is that for that lie to actually stand, you also, and this is something that is different than what was happening in Germany during the 30s, is that the Nazis in Germany, and I'm bringing up Goddard's law here. The Nazis also silenced opposing voices, which is not happening in North America. So when they try to go online and they try to preach about this outside of the quote unquote mainstream media, they're getting absolutely massacred, especially when they go on places like Twitter and, of course, Rumble. But they keep doing it anyway. So, yeah, Shea Raychick and Libs of Tick Tock, she got her Stripe account shut down for about a day or two. It came up. Nex Benedict, they tried to blame her for Nex Benedict, and they're trying to turn Nex Benedict into, again, like to say, the next George Floyd, and it's not working because the mainstream media basically shut their legitimacy all to shit, all because of COVID. So it's an interesting story, and it does tie into the one and when we get to topic number 6, we'll get to topic number 6. But I mean, yeah, their hypocrisy is being exposed, and the mainstream media and the establishment social media sites can't do the same effective level of blocking because Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Brighteon, Band TV, Gab, MeWe, Minds, they're all a whole lot bigger than they were in 2020, and they're able to mute out, and even say on Instagram and places like that, they're able to mute out any of these claims, so they can't just go out and say, well, this is what happened. And there's limited opposition. This time they're trying to say with Nex Benedict, well, this is what happened, and it's not working because they're not the only voice in town. Now, whether that continues, I don't know, but it looks to be pretty interesting. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to be these sort of one-offs. I hate to call it that, but when one person dies and it's political, I don't know. I guess one person's tragedy with a lot of people is a statistic. But you know what? I don't think it's really that big of a deal because we're all screwballs. All right. There's going to be something weird about my death, I think. It could be politicized. I think that's sort of just the nature of things, the climate that we're in. And maybe so much shouldn't be read into it. Or maybe not enough was being read into it. I don't know. However, with it being one individual, one issue, I don't really think it's a cause to change society as a whole. But then again, I may be wrong. I don't know. So I'll pass it on to Harrison.
Well, I really didn't look too much into this, but I'm going to have to agree with Naroki on this one. That I think that this really is a case of trying to throw some shit at the wall and hoping it sticks. And going back to his comments about, you push push the majority of America, white America, keep pushing them to a corner. At some point, they're gonna hit that wall, and that's like, okay, well, I got nothing more to lose. I'm not reacting to this one. I'm not going to respond to this one because it feels like this really is nothing more than a pathetic attempt of a Hail Mary, really. I mean, they're trying to find someone to be a martyr for what they believe their cause to be. I don't see this one sticking. I just don't. I mean, again, given the recent policy changes that's more or less been enacted in Alberta, stopping kids from rearranging their surgery because right now their brain hasn't settled down yet. Not giving access to puberty blockers for children under 16 years of age. So up until 15, they can't get it. So that's what might also be is perhaps some sort of an attempt to try to bolster the ranks, to rally the troops, to circle the wagons, boys and little girls. Because they're not getting anywhere. Like they're not, and I hope this continues. Like they're not. I think that they've reached their peak as to how much that they're going to be able to get from society. And don't be surprised with more attempts like this over the next few months. I'll be generous for the next few months. It will be a cold day in hell before I'm going to let somebody that I know that's a transvestite be looking over my kid. Now, I've got no idea what his teachers are like. I don't have time because I'm working. And soon enough, I don't think I'm going to be around that much in his life anyway, as it is, but that's another story. But whatever. And the Libs of Tick Tock are known for being, I won't say controversial, but they're certainly, I would consider them to be more known for displaying common sense or to show what's wrong with society. So this account to me is not surprising at all that they had this done to them on TikTok. And folks, let's not forget, TikTok in China is a hell of a lot different than the TikTok here. TikTok in China is being used to educate the young, and it's a great tool. It is a phenomenal tool on young, impressionable minds. So in China, they're using it to educate the young, educate to make the children more intellectually smarter, more productive parts of Chinese society. Here, rampant feminism. They haven't openly supported pedophiles yet, but I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. And the transgender stuff. So this is just really another tool for attack on North America, on first world society, shall we say. So that's all I'm going to say on this one, my friend. I will timestamp it unless you want to add to it. Okay. All right, there we go.
Wait, hold it. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
sorry. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I just discovered something. I cannot share BitChute content on Facebook. It's considered Canadian content.
Well, probably because you're posting it from within Canada. You'd probably be able to do it if you were on a VPN.
Oh, I'm going to have to get that VPN up and running again. Okay, so the next one, and this one we might not go on for quite as long, but we'll see. Julian Assange, they finally got around to doing the extradition trial. It's going on much longer than necessary, probably because, I'm guessing that the people on Julian Assange's side have hired probably the best civil rights lawyer they can possibly get a hold of, and they also understand that if Julian Assange, especially right now with Biden running the show in the United States right now, that sending Julian Assange to the United States would basically be a death sentence. And since it is pretty much going to be a death sentence, they're fighting it rather vociferously. The lawyers are on the record as saying that they're not going to do it, and they're making it very clear to the judges that in all likelihood sending Assange back over to the United States would be a death sentence. Now, there are definitely people at the CIA and the FBI and the NSA and all of the alphabet agencies in Washington, D.C. that would love to get a hold of Assange. If Assange gets extradited to the States, he will fall into a big, deep hole and he will never come out alive. In fact, they will do the same thing to Assange that the Ukrainians did to Gonzalo Lira. It might take a little bit longer, but they will do it to him. And they will not even try to hide it. Now, maybe at some point, unlike the people in Ukraine who did the thing to Gonzalo Lira, at some point the individuals who did this to Assange will eventually have to face justice, but that might be years, maybe even decades down the road before they do that. So the trial is extremely long. Again, I understand why the United States wants to extradite him, and part of the reason why I'm not completely on with Team Trump is that Trump could have at some point simply pardoned Assange, and he never did, even though Assange released materials that could have very much benefited Trump politically if he had chosen to take advantage of them, which kind of lends credence to the claim that Trump is just simply the other wing of a very corrupt bird, which is something that I have not just completely dismissed out of hand. And I cannot dismiss out of hand because there's just enough around Trump for me to not. Well, let's just say I'm more enthusiastic about Poilievre than I am about Trump. And we can say I'm not on Team Poilievre's camp either. I'm a little bit more hopeful. I do hold out some ray of hope that maybe some of the stuff that Biden has tried to do to Trump in the last few months has caused enough of a grudge that Trump might just decide to execute some reforms just for spite and hold some of these people accountable for some of the stuff they did just out of spite. But I cannot hold my breath waiting for that. The thing that I have to understand here is that, if Assange gets sent to the United States, he's just going to disappear down a black hole and we will never see him again. And considering that if you really wanted to get down to it, Assange's WikiLeaks actually started the long process of having conspiracy theories proven right in letting people know about the corruption that was out there. And they will be talking about Julian Assange centuries from now. Because that's what he did was that brave. And the people who might get a chance to get at him, they won't be talking about them at all. And with that, I'm turning it over to V.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I hope that he could be pardoned or maybe given some time served. I don't know. There are too many whistleblowers that have gotten away. I mean, there's Chelsea Manning and some others. There's lots of NSA whistleblowers. I know some of them personally. Yeah, not a lot of people have been made example of lately. And that is exactly what the government is all about. So I think they got blue balls about this kind of a situation, and they might just shoot their load as soon as Assange comes into view. You know what I mean? So I don't see it going good for him. However, if he were to be imprisoned, given a life sentence or however, it's going to be, like you said, it sort of got the conspiracy theorist going. It gave him some tread. However, if they do make an example of Assange, there's going to be a whole lot of conspiracy theorists, as they call them, probably arming up, getting together in groups, militia. That's what I would be doing. So I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out like William Cooper. ATF, FBI, whatever, come get me. I'm not going down by myself. So for those of you who actually care about the truth, you're going to have to live by it. You have to die by it. So it's not a game. This is real life. And you better be prepared. That go ahead, Gerson.
I'm torn over this one. Being the conspiracy theorist part of the group here, the talk about every time his name is brought up is that he'll be fine, and that certain parts have to wait to be played before they can come in, before it'll be effective or not. Now, I don't know. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. I can fully, thoroughly admit that. I have an inkling or two, but like we're gonna have to see the stock market crash first. The economy has to completely go into the fucking toilet, and the southern U.S. border issue has to grow to epic proportions, and then apparently things are going to fall into place, and it's hopefully going to be for the better. I don't know. I can't say that it is, and I can't say that it isn't. I have no idea. Now, I am not a authority on any of this. I would love to be, but I don't have the time. I just don't honestly have the time to fully devote to it. I could, I suppose, given how much time I fuck around with. But there are other things that are more important, and that's not my calling in life. So I'm not going to entertain any delusions of grandeur, shall we say. In terms of Assange, though, I imagine much like V and to some degree Naroki, we're just waiting to see what happens with him. But I don't see it being once he is unleashed, there will be hell to pay. I absolutely guarantee that there will be hell to pay. There will be big problems for the people that have been fucking around. And we'll find out what's gonna happen. But I am much more worried about. No, let me rephrase that. I'm more concerned about the apparently $4.5 to $5 billion share sell-off of the 3 Walmart children, whatever. Jamie Dimon, whatever his name is, for JP Morgan, I think he's the CEO of. He's apparently sold off about $250 million worth of stock, or 190 million. I don't remember what the number was. Just saw it earlier today, allegedly. And that is more concerning to me than what's happening with Assange. I'm not saying his life isn't important. It is, but there are more immediate threats and dangers. Yeah, I'll use the word dangers. There were more immediate threats and dangers that I see as being that's taking more of my priority, of my time and energy and thought processes. But with Assange, we have to wait and see, and it is a matter of time. Like, I have no idea. So we will see. We will see. So I will timestamp unless there's anything else, Naroki. Unmute yourself, my friend. We're going to move on to.
Yeah, you want to timestamp me, please? Thanks. Okay. Oh, this one. This one is we have a lot of Alberta content today. I actually saw somebody post up at Twitter that Joe Rogan probably, and I mean at some point he probably will, because he had Maxime Bernier on at one point, or at least I think, what was it, Dave Rubin that had Maxime Bernier? Maxime Bernier was on Rogan. He's probably gonna bring on Daniel Smith at some point, as it will probably Dave Rubin and a few others as this continues. Now, the city of Edmonton tried to pass, led by Amarjeet Sohi here. He tried to pass an anti-protest law here, which, again, it was kind of, the way they did it is they kind of Trojan horsed it into something else. And what it was basically designed to do is more or less do the same thing that the law in Calgary was doing, except it was going to be a little bit broader and not quite so specific. The only problem is that when they wrote up the law, the people on the left suddenly discovered that the anti-protest law also applied to them as well, which meant that they immediately withdrew the bill and are going back to the books. Now, here's the thing, right? Despite rather vociferous opposition to 15-minute cities, the city of Edmonton is still going ahead with them. They've been caught attempting to do it. I just saw a video, and this is not Edmonton, this is Toronto, but one of the major corridors going, I can't remember specifically what the name of it was. One of the major corridors, traffic corridors, apparently it's this big 4-lane highway going 2 different ways into and out of Toronto. They're going to cut it down to 2 lanes for next year.
Talking
And
the 401?
it might be the 401. I'm not sure what it is, but they're going to cut it from 4 lanes to 2. And it goes right into downtown Toronto.
Wow. Fuck me. Like, wow.
I don't think it's
Sorry.
the 401, but it is one of, if there's, I don't know Toronto, so it's one of the major, one of the big ones that goes right into downtown Toronto. So I don't know if it's the 401, but I know there's other ones as well, but one of them is being cut, reduced from 4 to 2 lanes.
Okay, I'm gonna look this one up. But having gone through Toronto and it's fucking big. Jesus, that's well, what they're doing is they're creating a traffic blood clot. Just saying. Anyway,
Well,
sorry, man. Go ahead.
Okay, so the traffic in Edmonton isn't as bad. There's a couple of streets, and I know because I live just south of downtown, at rush hour, that can get a little bit. I mean, for instance, White Avenue can get very congested during rush hour, which is why I tend to avoid White Avenue during rush hour. And I mean, I know the neighborhood I live in, so I can kind of drive around the residential streets to get around most of the bad traffic in Edmonton in that neighborhood during rush hour. It helps that I live in that neighborhood, so it helps me to avoid the worst. But I have been seeing signs that they are making some very clear efforts to, like, for instance, there's definitely a need of another. They definitely got to expand one of the thoroughfares going each way into downtown now, parking downtown. And they have done zero to aid with any of the parking in downtown Edmonton. So yeah, they are clearly trying to get people to move away. But however, they are investing a lot more into transit infrastructure. However, at the same time, while they're investing all this money into transit infrastructure, they have not doing anything about the homeless population living in the stations of the LRT in Edmonton. The situation is, yeah, they are trying to push ahead with this. They're trying to be very clandestine about it because they know people are watching, but that is exactly what they are trying to do. They're trying to sneak this past people without them noticing. And of course, people are noticing because they're in contact with other people in other neighborhoods that have tried this. Now, this anti-protest bill that they attempted to pass at City Hall was designed specific. Well, I mean, the "Don't Touch Our Kids" protest that occurred late last year like one of the biggest rallies for that was the city of Edmonton. The original organizers for the protest were actually out of the city of Edmonton. The unions, the LGBTQ mafia, and literally the press and everybody else like tried to drum up as much counter support as they could, and they even tried using camera angles and whatever to make it look like the sides were relatively even. However, there was still footage out there which showed that even with all of the artificial support that the counter protesters were having, the protesters still basically were about 2 or 3 times the size of the artificially enhanced counter protesters. The city of Edmonton, led by Amarjeet Sohi, cannot be having people protesting because they don't. For the other thing about Edmonton as opposed to Calgary is that you don't have somebody in Edmonton aggressively pushing transgender story time on kids. So the big issue for protests up here is they're attempting, which is why Daniel Smith is in the process of passing that bill. Part of that bill, by the way, means, and the way the bill is written, is that in order to take part in a transgender-based study program, you have to sign on. You do not you have to sign in. You have to actually register for it. You cannot just, if you find it cannot just be introduced and then you have the parents find out about it later. Like, you have to actually sign on first before they can even do the which is one of the things that you've seen school boards attempt to do. They pass this, they bring up this idea, and they just let parents know what it's about, and the parents have to go and discover what it's about before they can opt their kid out. The way the Alberta law is set up, you have to actually inform them what you're doing first before you're allowed, and then you can elect to have your kids sign on, which eliminates that loophole for them. But yeah, there was also a major amount of support here for the convoy back in 2022. So yeah, it is kind of important for Sohi to put some type of anti-protest bill into effect. And that anti-protest bill is in effect in order to prevent large organized counter rallies against what they're attempting to do. Now, they botched it this first time around, and because they botched it and people found out, everyone's going to be looking again. And Sohi is not as unpopular as the mayor of Calgary at this point, but that's only because Sohi seems to have maybe he's just a little bit more sophisticated about how he's doing things, or maybe the issues in Edmonton are not quite the same as what's going on in Calgary. Like I said, they don't have somebody in Edmonton aggressively pushing transgender story time on kids here. That is not the case down in Calgary. But yeah, this bill was designed with the intention of preventing Edmonton becoming a hub for counter protest against both the federal government and the provincial government and whatever other sneaky shit the fucking globalists keep trying to push. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V. And with it, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah, you and your Canadian stuff. I'm going to pass on this one. Go ahead, Rurston.
Okay. Well, to me, this one just comes down to a case of if we fuck around, we're going to find out on that it's going to bite us in the ass. So, I suppose cooler heads are, for now, prevailing in Edmonton. I have no idea. I can't wait until I can't wait for the next round of municipal elections. I had no interest in voting last time, but I sure as fucking going to be voting this time to help Gondik, help boot Gondik's Nikki Haley-ish ass out of office. Ugh, fucking nasty. And I did find out about the traffic. Did find out about the the congestion for Toronto. It's actually not the 401, and that goes through Toronto. It's the Gardner Expressway. So it is a major route coming into the city. It's typically, I think, it's been a long time, but I recognize the name. I've been on it enough times that I don't really remember where it goes anymore. So
yeah, they're cutting that. They're cutting that one in half.
Yeah, and apparently, traffic in Toronto is one of the worst in the world. So I guess for its size, it beats LA. So Toronto drivers are going to have to be upset and miserable about more crap going on. And I'm hoping that there are enough people that are able to still work from home that this won't affect them as much. So we'll see. I don't know what to say on this one, but we'll see. So don't have much more to say on this one, but yeah, like I said, it seems that Edmonton has some actual logical thinking on their side of people that actually have an inkling of what the future is going to, how this decision will impact them soon enough. So I will timestamp unless there's anything else for you, Naroki.
No. The only thing I might want to add on this one is that there's a hold on. There is a clear attempt here by the municipal government to try to prevent Edmonton from becoming some type of a resistance hub, which it's rapidly turning into, even probably more so than Calgary. But with that, let's get on with the next topic, because this one literally landed in my lap. So give me the timestamp on it, please. Thank you very much. So this one, and you could see this one coming from a mile away, and I'm not surprised that it came out first in Alberta, because what literally started happening is once it became, especially, again, I'm trying to figure out at what point the public opinion really started to turn on the LGBTQ mob and the attempts by the pedophiles and whatever to try to Trojan horse themselves into respectability by using the LGBTQ group as legitimacy, which is really pissing them off, by the way. But what started happening, and it started happening a few months ago, is after Daniel Smith got elected, people started coming out. The first thing I remember seeing was a member of the Red Deer School Board basically telling the LGBTQs that she was under no fucking circumstances going to be allowing transgenders access to kids, and was being quite vociferous in her opposition to it. Of course, the mainstream media and the Twitterama and whatever tried to scream her down, but she's still sitting on the board of the Red Deer School Board. So, not to anyone's surprise, what ended up happening in Westlock is that they have a gay and lesbian group at the high school. And what the gay and lesbian wanted to do is that they wanted to express some solidarity with the LGBTQ movement. So what they did is they asked the city council, yes, can we paint one of those rainbow crosswalks coming over to our school? And they said yes. The only problem is that the crosswalk they chose to use was the one that connected it. When you cross the street, apparently, it crosses over to the Legion Hall. Now, I don't know what the Legion is like down in the US, but here they tend to lean towards the conservative side. This got a few of them angry. Don't know why, but they got upset about this. And they started going to City Hall. City Hall was not going to cooperate with them, so they started going to the courts. And what they ended up doing is that they went, okay, you don't trust us, we don't trust you, so why don't we just put it to a plebiscite? So they put it to a plebiscite. Now, the far left did, including, by the way, members of the town council, pulled every possible trick in the book to try to prevent this particular bill, which this bill would have done. It was effectively, it would have said that no, the resources of the town cannot be used by groups. It can only be used. So basically, they're only allowed to fly government flags, and they're only allowed to paint crosswalks and whatever. They cannot use city or town resources to paint those crosswalks. And the vote came down, and it was 565 to 539. So the bill passed. Small town, northern Alberta, at first, the bill looked like, wow, that was close. And then, of course, once you started getting the reporting out of there, it was sort of like, oh, okay, that's basically what the left tried to do with the Alberta provincial election, except on a much smaller scale. And it didn't work. Although, again, much like what happened with the province of Alberta, it came a lot closer to working than people might have realized. So if you are in a community which leans to the left, and I am involved in the film and television community here in Edmonton, what ended up happening is that if you were in academia, if you were in the tech sector, if you were anything connected anywhere in the arts community or whatever, or if you worked in the mainstream media, everybody is screaming bloody murder. Why are they screaming bloody murder over this? Because a town of 5,000 people defied the globalists and all of their tricks and all of their chicanery, and they basically gave the globalists and Trudeau and the far left, they gave them a huge, massive bloody nose, and they're spurging right the fuck out over it, because they damn well know that if a town of 5,000 people can do it, then anyone else, pretty much anyone else can as well. Again, no big surprise there. I expect that there's going to be some type of retaliation against Westlock. In fact, I know there's going to be some type of retaliation, because now I get into my personal story about this. Now, I run a film group on Facebook, and I used to run it in person for a few years before I decided to get into internet broadcasting and before I started the Red Pill Nation Hangout. That particular group, now, as we all know, because I've done enough Hollywood stuff over the years, that we all know what Hollywood is like. And currently, Hollywood is getting its ass handed to them as well, because they decided to get woke and go broke. Well, there are wokesters in even, you go to any city and any film community, you have wokesters in there. And those wokesters will do what wokesters do. If you express an opinion of any kind that doesn't align with their views politically, they will shout you, or they will attempt to shout you down. That's the reason why I typically do not, with this one particular group, why I don't get into politics when I run my film group. I just don't do it. Don't need the aggravation, especially after what happened back in 2017 and a certain little dirtbag, and I'm not even going to mention his name, but this particular little sleazy little fucking dirtbag used to belong to my film group, and him and a friend of his decided that they knew better and they knew how to run a film group better than I did, so they started a group of their own, which they conveniently scheduled on the same day as mine for 4 months in a row. That's 865,000 to 1, by the way, that somebody would schedule their meeting on the same day as mine for 4 months in a row. They attempted at one point to raid my group, and by networking everybody in my group at the same time. I also found out about that. This same sleazy little fucking individual also, I would come up with these ideas, and all of a sudden, a week, 2 weeks, even sometimes literally the next day, he would come up with the exact same idea. And also his partner would routinely try to upstage me whenever I was trying to post up something about my group on third-party sites. Now, that was then. What eventually happened is that him and his buddy couldn't run their film group anymore, and I got in their face, and they did back away from holding their group on the same day as mine. But that's not all. This same little sleazy motherfucker tried to basically slide a Me Too accusation at me, which I found out about because someone called me and I had to explain to them what happened. I'm not going to get into all the details, but I'm pretty sure he was the one behind it. He also stole the idea that I had for a one-day screening, which I couldn't do because I was going through a very difficult period of time. Anyway, this one particular individual has done quite a bit to me over the years, just because he could. Now, he runs another film group on a social media site. And what he did is, well, we are all upset about what happened in Westlock. So what I'm going to do at my group is that any artists that are from Westlock, they are not going to be allowed to post up at my group. And there are multiple artists that are going to be doing the same thing. Now, given this guy's history, I wonder what happened to V. Given this guy's history, I decided, no, you know what? Because this is effectively cancel culture. I decided that I was going to post up at my group, and I said, no, we're not. I'm aware of what's happened at Westlock. I understand that some of you have very strong opinions about what happened at Westlock, but I'm not going to be boycotting artists or content creators out of Westlock just because of what happened with the vote. I am firmly against cancel culture. I got a lot of likes for that. I got a lot of likes for that. However, there were 3 individuals who all came in and either directly tried to insult me, or one guy even tried to yell and scream me into submission. And I told him under no uncertain terms that you are not going to either scream or yell and scream and basically cry bully me into submission over this, like it ain't happening. But I think the coup de grace on this occurred when this troll somehow managed to find my site today, found out who I was, found out what I had posted up, even though I believe it's a private site, or you have to actually be subscribed to the group in order to find out about this. You have to be invited in to the group in order to comment on it. It's not just something that you can just publicly find on Facebook. This guy came into the group and got really personal with me. And I mean really fucking personal. You know, the usual stuff that gets thrown around, you know, incel, loser, blah 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 blah, all of the fun stuff, right? And of course I sent him a message back pretty much challenging him to answer any of all his claims. And then what I had to do is I had to go back to the group. I had to block and remove this guy because he was not there. He was not there as a group member. And also I had to leave a post up at the group saying, I have booted this guy out. If any of you, now, given the status of this group, he could not have come into this group to comment unless somebody had invited him in. If I see somebody else getting invited in to troll on me, every single person that critically commented about my post is going to get fucking blocked, is going to get booted out of the group. Now, this guy has not responded in any form or fashion to the challenges that I put out on his DM, not on the feed at the group. And that is pretty much where it currently stands at the moment. Now, the other thing that happened is that when this individual got called out, because he got a lot of nasty feedback for what he was doing, he changed the tone of the message, and he blocked comments. One of the people that came over and got in my face about what I'd done basically accused me of not having any balls because I didn't name him directly, because I didn't want to name him directly, because what he was doing was his thing and I'm going to do my thing, and sort of like, well, that's what they're doing over there, that's what I'm doing over here, right? Didn't want to get into a big, huge melodramatic scene. But yeah, that is the type of energy we're dealing with here. That is just a slight little taste of what I'm having to deal with. And I am a pretty strong individual when it comes to dealing with this toxicity. I don't like dealing with a lot of it. And, you know, it creates a lot of anxiety. It creates a lot of pressure. It creates like, well, what if they develop, what if they get really organized and come after me again and believe whatever? I like, even though I know it's all in my imagination, I can imagine some pretty bad scenarios happening to me because I think I'm doing the right thing. Now, how many other people, and this is the reason why I said what I said, how many other people are being quiet about this because they don't want to be shouted down. They don't want to be dealing with this. They don't want to be having to go through all of the stuff that I've had to go through. They just want to do their thing, and they don't want to take sides. And why my decision to do this was based on one thing and one thing alone. And that was the fact that I cannot, my silence on this particular issue and punishing the individuals involved in this just because they happen to be from Westlock is not acceptable to me. And I had to make a stand on that. And I was getting, and what's going to happen with individuals that don't want to do this, because there was a few people on here, and they were all the same people that upvoted this guy over his group, that tried to shame me into backing down, or in some cases invite people into the group to yell and scream at me. And this was just my experience. What's happening with everybody else around it now? I personally think Westlock did the right thing. I agree with what Westlock did. I think there's going to probably, and this is one of the reasons why people are freaking out right now, is because it's like I said, if a town of 5,000 people can do this to the globalists, what's going to happen when other municipalities in Alberta start to do the same thing? And I can almost virtually guarantee you that they will. There is going to be some type of large-scale retaliation against Westlock because, of course, you know, like I said, this is the Noam Chomsky. Why do they go down so hard on little rinky-dink countries? Because if a little rinky-dink country can do it, then anybody else can do it, right? So, yeah, there is probably some other groups out there engaging in retaliation right now. But that's basically what happened. Good on Westlock. They needed to do this, and I think a lot more people need to find the power of no. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to V.
Yeah, I got lost on the topic here. I thought we were going to be talking about
Okay.
rainbows.
So what happened? Okay. So what happened is that your atypical rainbow flag, and that's questionable at this point in time, it was painted and it connected one of the the local Canadian Legion branch
To the high
Canadian
school.
Legion to the high school. The Canadian Legion it was formed after World War II for veterans, is my understanding about that, or maybe it was World War I. I think it was World War II. Anyway, they didn't take it very well. The town council didn't do anything at all to retract it or rescind it. So they went through the court system, and then finally there was a plebiscite, and it squeaked by with less than 30 votes against it. So now all crosswalks have to be painted reflective white. And
they can't fly the trans flag either, by the way. Yeah. They can't fly the trans flag. They can't fly it. Basically, it has to be government. They cannot use government property to promote third-party purposes, is what it would basically boil down to.
You know, I agree with that. That's a safety thing. Absolutely. It should be reflective. It should be textured. It should, everything for alertness and safety. Absolutely. The push, I remember when the rainbow meant, like peace and harmony amongst all races. My primary school, my elementary school, we had murals painted on like all the walls, different colored people holding hands, rainbows, hearts, flowers. And then I think it's just a major step back, because now these sexually confused individuals want to claim everything that's good, and it's just turning everything into crap. It's such a major step back. It's hit me double now, because quite some time ago, I learned that the rainbow symbol, especially when it's put in movies and everything, it's Illuminati symbolism. And I dug a little deeper on that, and it's like, oh yeah, the DoD wants full spectral dominance. Nah, that's not just light. It's everything's in the spectrum. So we talking quantum physics here. That means everything. You, me, the particles you're made of. They want full spectrum dominance. So the rainbow symbols become quite evil. It's representing everything bad now in our society. So I can't help but to think about that kind of stuff when I do see rainbow stuff. And I don't know, quite disturbed in any fashion. But yes, back to it's common sense. The things are the way they are within the infrastructure so that society can move and flow, hopefully unimpeded and uninjured, safely. So the change of the crosswalks, that kind of stuff, that should have been shut down immediately. That's like a I mean, as much as I want to go into the courtrooms here in America and go behind the judge's desk up there and rip down their maritime war flag that they're flying all the time. You guys know which one I'm talking about. It's the American flag, and it's got gold or yellow tassels
with the gold,
all the way
with
around.
gold frills on it. Yep.
Yes, all the way around it. That's a maritime war flag. So it really tells you what, this is war on you. They shouldn't have those flags in the courtrooms. But anyways, I'll get all over the place if I talk about this anymore. So yeah, go ahead, Urson.
All right. Well, I was happy to see this happen, and I'm glad it happened. Mind you, the town of about 5,000 people, and you had about 1,300 votes. Assuming that you've got, well, even to have 2 kids per parent or per adult, there was enough of the town that didn't vote, but there was enough that did vote to basically tell them to go get stuffed. So, I don't know of this going anywhere else, except I don't know of this happening anywhere else in the world. To tell the World Economic Forum and everybody that's associated with them, and however high that goes up into the upper echelons of society that we're not a part of, to go get stuff. But yeah, no, Naroki is right. Like, there's a lot of power available to us if we wake up and we decide that we don't want it, or we want something that they don't want. So if I was the World Economic Forum and whoever else controls those lackeys, oh yeah, I would be really worried with this. I'd be quite worried about that. Now, that does beg the question of how compromised is the ruling the town council of Westlock? Like, are they in the World Economic Forum? Are they in the pockets of the World Economic Forum? I wouldn't be surprised of that possibility. I would love to be wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised. And I did take a look at famous people of Westlock. Besides there being a former, let me just pull it up here. So the whole thing of artists from Westlock need not apply to his group. There actually is. There is a performer. There is a singer. Never heard of the woman before, but Carolyn Dawn Johnson, who happens to be a country music singer. So I don't think she has any knowledge of your friend's group. I can't see it being all that important.
I
to
have
her, to say the
heard
least.
of. I have heard of her. That's about the extent of it.
Well, she's the only person that would be affected by your associate's insignificant little frothing at the mouth rant. Former BC Premier Bennett is from Westlock. A couple of hockey players, 3 hockey players. Rolly Boutin, Kyle Chipchura, never heard of him. Greg Polis.
I have heard of Greg Polis. He actually grew up in Prince George, though. But anyway, that's
okay. Well, at some point he was from Westlock. May have been born there. I don't know. Simeon Ratier is a professional football player. Never heard of him. And other than that, it just comes down to basically members of Parliament, MLAs, senators, academic author, advisor to the Prime Minister, Dale C. Thompson. No fucking clue who that is. Oh, this guy would have been busy during and after World War II. So his affiliation was the Liberal Party of Canada. So there are some individuals, but honestly not that many.
well,
And
it's
no
a town.
one-
It's a town of
Right.
5,000 people. So what do you expect?
Well, I didn't expect very much. I didn't expect anything at all, to truth be told. But at the end of the day, as I said, that country music singer, I don't think she's going to be terribly affected by it all in any way, shape, or form. And that's just the overall idiocy of your friend.
Oh well,
And
I mean that
Mhm.
that particular. I'm not going to get too much into. It's like, I mean, I gave you a brief. Like,
yeah, you gave us some overall. Yep.
yeah, and it's like, I mean, the one that really, I mean, the way and I don't want to go into all the details of it, because I mean, at some point somebody's going to probably dig this event out and go, well, what the hell happened, the rookie? What happened here? Tell us. What he tried to do, and I can't prove it because he never steps out into the open. Is that he tried to get me too'd. The only reason he didn't succeed in getting me too'd is that somebody called me, and B, I was literally only about a month or 2 away from actually moving away from the film industry and into internet broadcasting, so it didn't really affect me all that much. But yeah, just an absolutely, like, this was an absolutely despicable fucking human being. I'm not going to get into too much detail with him because I don't want to draw out personal issues on here, but I do have a running beef with this fucking guy, and yeah, he chose to take a stand, and I chose to try to expose him because he's fucking tried so much fucking shit on me. So it was a little bit personal, and I'm sorry if that maybe ruffles people's feathers a little bit too much, that maybe I should be noble and turn the other cheek or whatever. You know what? You're absolutely right. I probably should have. To quote somebody who is now dead, though, if the opportunity comes to deliver revenge yourself, you fucking take it. And this was a chance for me to get back at the guy, so I did. And yeah, maybe I was being small. Maybe I was being petty. But this dude just has, like I say, I have reasons to hold a personal grudge against this guy. That's all I'm going to say about it. Does anybody else have anything more to say on this particular issue? Because, yeah, good on the city of Westlock for doing what they did. You're going to start seeing more cities and towns start to do this. Like I said, Pride Month is going to be very interesting this year. And unless anybody else has anything more to say, we will go on to the last topic tonight. Okay, I'm going to take that that timestamp as a signal that we need to be moving on to the last topic tonight. Okay. The last topic is another MCU movie. Now, when I saw the highlights for this particular MCU movie, I thought, oh, well, this might be kind of interesting. I mean, it's got hold on a second. It's got an interesting cast. It's got an interesting idea behind it. You know, I thought it might be interesting to watch. Unfortunately, I am not. I mean, I will pretty much go see anything. The last couple of week times that I have been in town for a week, though, I have had other things to do. So I really have not been able to get into going to a lot of movies, which is kind of strange because usually I have zero problem finding time to get to 2, sometimes even 3 movies when I have a week off, but I haven't had time to do that lately. I had to make a choice, and I chose not to go to Madame Web. Not because I hated Madame Web, but I had something else that I wanted to go see, and I saw that instead. Now, there is a few things about this particular movie. For one, it's got mommy milker Sydney Sweeney in there, and as you all know, I am absolutely a guy who hates large breasts, which is why I constantly talk about large boobs on the show.
Two titties.
Titties, yeah. It's got Sydney Sweeney's mummy milkers on there, and there's a couple scenes in there where she looks, you know, I mean, unfortunately, Sydney Sweeney's mummy milkers, by the way, weren't enough for me to actually go see the movie. Now, once again, though, it's becoming very obvious from the direction that the MCU is going, is that they are trying to replace, in particular, and we've gotten into this, they are trying to replace all of the establishment white male characters with women of color. I'm surprised that they haven't tried to replace Captain America with a black transgender midget, but I'm sure they will try at some point if given long enough. And the revenue from the movies in the MCU has been going down, 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 down. Now, the movie that came out before that, which was supposedly Ant-Man, didn't do particularly well. And this movie cratered. And it's your typical superhero movie there. It's an okay, from my understanding, it's an okay movie, but once again, you know, the MCU decided to push the message. And what they're basically trying to do is have Madame Web basically be a version of Professor X, and these new Spider-Verse girls be the new Spider-Man, Spider women, for lack of a better term, including Sydney Sweeney and her mommy milkers. But the movie only generated $38 million in its first week, which was bad enough. Now, I've been doing this long enough to know that week 2, it's usually about 40% of week 1. So if a movie makes about 40 million in the first week, it's only going to do 16 million in the following week. but it didn't even do that. It made a paltry, I think it was $8 million in week 2. It is getting absolutely destroyed. It's got a 3.8 out of 10 on IMDb. I'm looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score for it. Oh my God. It is for the critics. The critics, not the audience score, the critics. It is a 12%. That is bad, especially when you consider that the Rotten Tomatoes crew is usually full of woke reviewers. The audience score is 56%, so even the people who are actually watching the movie, they're kind of meh. But this is supposed to be an MCU release. It's supposed to be a woke MCU release, and the critics are absolutely destroying it. I feel sorry for the actors that acted in this. I'm really regretting the fact that I will probably not get back into town soon enough to see Sydney Sweeney's Mummy Milkers, which are not actually exposed but are shown rather prominently throughout the movie. I'm not going to be able to see any of those. But you know what? Disney just made another flop. The budget for Madam Web, which I'm going to take a look at right now, is, hold on a second, let me just type it in. Production cost. It needs to, hold on a second, I know where to go. Here. I know exactly where to go. Box Office Mojo. Madam Web. Oh my God, only $1 million. The budget on this movie is they're hiding the budget. Holy moly. They are doing everything they can to hide the budget. Anyway, it's expected that it's going to lose 9 figures.
Now, this is Sony that made this movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got some insight. I think that might also lend to it, but I'll wait till it's my turn.
Yeah. So anyway, it is not doing very well. It has a 77 million. It's only made $77 million so far. It's in week 2. It's at the end of week 2 now, and it is not looking particularly good for this particular movie. And I can't actually do anything more right now unless I actually find out what the actual production budget is. So I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We always complain that women aren't into the same stuff that we are. We make stuff catered to them, and now we're complaining? You have to understand, we are not the audience. So, I don't know. I think there's plenty of stuff for us to fanboy to out there.
Okay, it had a budget of about $75 million. So probably $65-70 million. So it's, it's made its production budget back, but it needs to clear 200, and it's not going to do it. Continue, V. I found a place that had the budget totals for it.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll make its money back eventually. There's always Disney Plus and other venues. I don't think they're worried about it too much. However, like I said, I mean, there's stuff out there that's I mean, they're gonna grab all the tomboys out there, make them more masculine, as they're making men more feminine, because you know that's the agenda right now. So I mean, it's gonna do what it's gonna do. I don't have very much to say on it.
This actually isn't surprising. Sony, as I've come to learn or have heard, has been doing their best to make Nintendo make the Mario movie much more female, is to make it much more female friendly or orientated. And Nintendo is pushing back, telling them that no, we need to do it it's going to be this way. So how that's going to work out, I don't know, but I think this should be a good indication to Sony to basically leave shit alone. Actually, that reminds me. But then again, too, I mean, one musician, Michael Jackson, apparently had called out an executive of Sony Music out for being a pedophile. So whether he is or not, I can't say, quite possibly, but I'm just going to look up stockholders of Sony. So let's see what we get, shall we? And I'm expecting the usual. Okay. Wow, there really isn't very much. Retail, it's predominantly retail. I don't know what that means exactly for institutional holders of Sony. It's not very much. The usual 3 only comes up with BlackRock, and they only have 1/3% of shares, which isn't very much. It's not even 4.5 million. I mean, you know, just shy of $400 million isn't nothing. It's not much. It's not something to sneeze at, but it's small. But the vast majority of almost 93% of Sony's shareholder stock is retail. So I have no idea what the fuck that means. But I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if 93% of retail investors. So I don't know. I'm not that savvy on this kind of shit, so I don't know what that means. Anyway, from what I understand, the one with the nice set of chesticles, they were all basically dressed down and couldn't really be feminine. So if you're gonna go there to see the titties, you won't see much. Now, apparently, with the budget being as low as it was, it affected the script in the sense that they couldn't make any references to the MCU, not the MCU, the MShe as in She-Hulk sort of shit. So they couldn't even do that. And if you can't do that, I mean, it was basically, it's like what they did with Deadpool. Wow. You know, Professor X's mansion is empty except for the 2 of you. It kind of seems like you guys didn't have enough money for the license for Marvel to have any more than that. So, not being terribly surprised, but Deadpool was a sign of things to come. That there's just not enough money that's been allocated for licensing. Now, I'm not going to see the movie. I'm not the least bit fucking interested. If there's a showing of Return of the Jedi for the May the 4th weekend, because it's like the 4th, oh, good Lord. Yeah, it's been 40 fucking years. Jesus, I feel fucking old just by thinking about that. But if there's a showing for Return of the Jedi somewhere within Alberta, I sure as fucking gonna go see it somewhere. I don't care where it'll be. Maybe it'll be up in Edmonton. Who knows? But I'm gonna go. Hell, I'd even go to Vancouver. But I did watch a bit of Madam Web in terms of the cartoon series. And with the cartoon series, it was Spider-Man Multiverse. And it was Peter Parker. I don't remember much more than that. I didn't watch it. I think my son did watch a bit of it because he did go through a Spider-Man phase. And I was happy that he did go through it, and it was great. It was great for me to see that as a father. But with Madam Web, well, as we've been saying tonight, Sony fucked around and they have found out. Didn't they? Wasn't Sony? Excuse me. Was it Sony Pictures that released Ghostbusters?
I can't remember right off the top of my head. I'll have to take a look. Continue talking.
Let's take a look.
Which Ghostbusters? Which Ghostbusters, by the way?
Well, which one do you think? 20s.
There's
like
4 of them.
Just like your favorite year, 2016. Oh, it was Paramount. Okay, that's fine. Paramount fucked around and they found out. Just as they found out with Birds of Prey and Ocean's 8 and Terminator 3 or 4 and fucking every other sci-fi superhero movie. Women will go, but women will only go if it's a well-written, which tends to be that it's going to be more male-orientated. Women have gone to Star Wars. Not the sequel shit, but the prequel shit. Well, the prequel shit now it's movie gold compared to what's out there now with the sequels. And the original trilogy, there were some sellout points, putting in the Ewoks to try to make it cute for the girls. Can't blame them, but didn't realize that there'll be a precursor of the stupid shit going on now. So that's fine. But I mean, I loved watching Deadpool. It was a great fucking movie. It was risky in the sense that Deadpool is a violent motherfucker. And he swears like a motherfucker. But the character he is not your typical. He's the epitome of the anti-hero, with the awareness that he is in a comic book or he's in a movie. So that's fine. But this, Sony fucking knew what they were getting into. I would love to. I would love to play block for this one, but I won't. And again, as I said at the beginning of my comments on this specific topic, they're doing their best, as I understand it, to tell Nintendo to what to write. And Nintendo was pushing back, saying, no, this is our project, and we agreed to this, and we're going to do it. What will happen, what the end result will be, I don't know. And if this is going to be any indication of to, as I said, fuck around and find out, I'm not going to feel sorry for Sony. I won't feel sorry for Paramount if they continue to pump out shit. Horse shit, for that matter. It doesn't matter if it's donkey or not, but horse shit, to say the least. So, let them do what they're going to do. And if it's almost at the point of being the statistical probability that I'm going to go see a movie within the next, for the rest of the year, Justin Trudeau has a better chance of becoming prime minister again for another 4 years before I'm going to step into the theater with the shit that's out there right now. And that's all I got to say. I will leave that back to you.
And yeah, that's pretty much. What is the time right now? By the way,
It's 5 after 12.
no. The time on the video.
Oh, okay. Give me a minute to get over to that. Where's my flipping mouse?
Okay,
Oh, shit.
thanks.
Yeah.
No,
You
that's
wanna? Okay.
that's fine. Rachel Zegler got action movie actor of the year at the People's Choice Awards. Just going to finish off with this. We may have to do something about this later when Snow White comes out. Rachel's they gave it to her over Keanu Reeves, over Tom Cruise. Disney is apparently really desperate to try to improve Rachel Zegler's image before the movie comes out. I don't know if it's going to work, but that is what I will end on today. That's your moment of zen. She was all gushy at the award, and I was like, oh, wow, the fix was in. But unless any of you guys anything have to say on that, we're going to end it tonight. Does anybody have anything more to say, or are we done?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, so that is it. Just one other quick announcement here. The Daily Wire smear piece on the red pill and the manosphere will not be done until after I get back into the city. But that is it for tonight. This was a very interesting week. I'm kind of fascinated to see what next week is going to look like. Hopefully it's not.
Are you sure you want to say that?
Well, I mean, it's like, am I going to be going back into town in 10 days and I'm going to have to fucking do 4 or 5 fucking episodes and edit and do all the other stuff that I got to do when I'm in town, because I have a very limited window which I can do stuff in, which I have pretty much crossed over at this point. But I mean, I kind of accept that as just the hazards of doing a 12-hour job out in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, I have to get some sleep before I have to get to work tomorrow. So anyway, that is it for tonight, because I don't think anybody else wants anything more to say. Thank you very much for showing up. I will talk to you all at the next Sunday, barring